Namaste, it's time for another bicycle live stream. Saturday, July the 27th at whatever time it is, 7:41 a.m. I've ridden 37 kilometres. I've got a bicycle full of organic fruit and vegetables from the markets, and I'm riding home, and I'm hoping the breeze isn't too strong. So good morning, Gary, thank you for watching. So I want to talk about a subject that bemuses and amuses me. And it's one of these subjects that comes back to the elephant in the room again, which is something that I discussed last week with the topic last weekend. So let me tell you a little story first. When I was in high school, first day in chemistry class, I did chemistry, physics, maths 1, geometrical drawing and perspective, the top English class. I did all the hardest classes in high school, as I was destined to be some sort of intelligent soul. Yeah, as if. Anyway, first day in chemistry class. Teacher comes in, Mr. Karakasanis, and within the first couple of sentences he managed to say something that I instantly took a dislike to what he said and to his character. And just a moment, I'll get rid of the annoying notifications. Right. Okay, here we go. He said, science. He basically said, now remember this was a long time ago. It's over 30, what? Stay there, thank you. Over 40 years ago, I think it was. He said, science has, we can tell by science that the chemicals that are needed, the ingredients that are needed to make bread, and with science we can create all of these ourselves. In other words, man can create everything we need with the use of science to make bread. He said, therefore, there is no need for God. And instantly, and I think I was, well, that would have been 1978, so there you go, 41 years ago. Instantly, I took a dislike to Mr. Karakasanis and his atheistic approach. We have no need for God, he said. And I just straight away, I thought, good luck with that one, because there's going to come a time when you're definitely going to regret having, said that, or having had that philosophy or that understanding, which of course you could fast forward to that point in time being on the person's deathbed, of course, when they show incredible regret for their arrogance. But anyway, let's go back to science. And I noticed it came up this week. This is why I'm talking about it. I posted a thing about sunglasses and how they can cause cancer because of how they trick our eyes into not realizing that we're out in the sun, tricks the body into not producing the correct protective response, and it just goes on from there. So the sunglasses, whilst in theory might help, they can cause damage. And so people started, this by the way, this is just on that topic. This is not something that was new to me. In 1980, when I read Arnold Ehret's Mucusless Diet, which was, by the way, written in the 1920s, so a book that was written 100 years ago. When I read that 39 years ago, Arnold Ehret spoke very strongly, not only about being on a mucusless diet, which is a raw food diet, but also the importance of sunlight, the importance of breathing fresh air, of being in nature. It was a whole philosophy and understanding that he used to cure a large number of people at that time, around the turn of the last century. And he used it effectively, and it went on to become a Arnold Ehret's understanding of our health went on to become something that is still followed with great fervour today. But that's sort of getting a little bit off track. But it's, in other words, the whole sunglass thing, when I was in my teens and 20s, I went for years without wearing sunglasses. It was just part of the discipline that I followed. It was part of the practice that emanated from the teachings of Arnold Ehret. There were many other things that I followed very fervently. There was sleeping without a pillow. There was no food intake until lunchtime, so you didn't have a breakfast. There was regular fasting. There was all these things that people are sort of rediscovering today, which I find hilarious because, 100 years ago and more, Professor Arnold Ehret was teaching this to great effect to people in different parts of the world. So, since then, society has changed a lot. And when I posted something this week about sunglasses, it was very, very interesting to have some responses from people saying, well, you show me a peer-reviewed scientific evidence of this, as if that means anything. Straight away when I read them, I'm like, so what? Really? Just a lot of things go through my head when I read a comment like that. I'm like, so that's your be-all and end-all, is it? That's it. A peer-reviewed scientific report will prove, and that's all you'll believe. And I thought, that's really sad. That's really sad that that's what it's come to for a lot of people, that science is their religion, and it doesn't matter whether you want to come in with common sense or morality or philosophy or, any sort of questioning on their religion. They're like, no, if it can't be scientifically proven, then I'm not interested. So this is something I've noticed ever since that first day in chemistry class with Mr. Karakasanis and his arrogant atheistic approach to life. Ever since that first lesson and that first day, I've noticed this in people, and it's prevalent. It's more prevalent in today's society now, I think, than or either that or I notice it more. I can't say one way or the other, but what I notice is that there is a real need for people to hang on to this scientific proof. Now, science, if you want to go, it's a big area to cover, but science starts with a hypothesis, which then has to be observed, has to be proven, and of course, as most of us know, over time, science has changed enormously in what it observes and believes to be correct, and what it can prove to be correct. But there is so much fallibility that if you just go on YouTube and just type in the limitations of science and listen to some of the videos as I've been doing recently. Some really good stuff. I might even share some of it. And you're really just some fascinating discussions amongst some very well-educated, well-learned people that will actually admit the limitations. And these are people that are in the scientific field and in the historical field and, are aware of all the ins and outs. Anyway, so science has limitations. Science is constantly learning. It's constantly discovering new things. It's, as it discovered a long time ago about gravity and about the fact that the Earth is not the center of the universe, and things like this, that have been able to be disproven scientifically. So anyway, why do people? Let's get on topic here before I run out of road. Why do people have such a strong need to hang on to scientific proof as if it's a religion to them? It comes down to exactly what I learnt on that first day in chemistry class way back in 1978 when Mr. Karakasana said, "We have no need for God." There, in those 6 words, is the reason, the elephant in the room, why so many people today hang on to science as their religion, because science is their God with a little g, and is their way of not having to surrender to the big G, because that is the thing that everyone fears is, and the thing that nobody wants to talk about, the big elephant in the room. We're not going to surrender to God. No, we're smarter than that. My false ego knows everything. You know, I'm going to live forever. I've got unlimited power. It's like, again, I say, good luck. Good luck with that. You're this infinitesimal little spark of divinity that has all the quality, but not the quantity. And you have a false ego that is so arrogant that it thinks that science can prove or know everything, that thinks that the creation just came into existence as a cosmic big bang, or whatever the latest thing is, that there was no intelligent design. I'm like, I smack my head. I smack my head with things. I just go, seriously? Do you want to observe? Science observes. Observe things coming into creation automatically by accident. It doesn't happen. So the reason why we all need something from a spiritual perspective, we all need something to believe in. So people that follow science like a religion are just doing the same thing as somebody that's following religion. I'm not a proponent of religion. I'm a proponent of a spiritual process. It's a different thing. Religion is a man-made construct. Spirituality is a heart-centered wisdom. So the point being, we all need to believe in something. We need to believe that my earpiece has fallen out and it's back in. For those who choose steadfastly to not believe in a spiritual process, because to do so would mean the false ego would have to relinquish its supposed control over us, which it doesn't have. We come to this thing where it's like, oh, good. Oh, we can follow science. We can believe in science. Yeah, we need something to believe in. Got to have something to believe in. Everybody is believing in something. Everybody is telling a story. Everybody is going to, catching up with their mates at the football match, and they're going, oh wow, did you see this? And did you see that? And you know what I did this week? And everyone's got their story, the things that they believe in. The same thing happens with science. But science is fallible, constantly changing, originally based on a hypothesis, which is man-made hypothesis, which they then try to prove or disprove, which is determined by culture, education, location, so many things, so much fallibility. And the ultimate irony is that science is studying something that science didn't create in the first place, in a lot of cases, in the need to understand, which is part of this need to believe in everything. The mind needs to understand, and when it's not spiritually centered, then it will hang on to a scientific need to understand. So I sort of laugh to myself when I see people, sort of being very strongly adamant that there has to be scientific proof for things, when we know how fallible the logic behind it can be when compared to the infallibility of our heart's wisdom, which is timeless and all-knowing. And And so when you compare the two, you've got somebody going, well, if you can't prove it scientifically, it doesn't happen. It's like, oh boy, open your heart a bit, open your mind, really. So what I like, and I'm going to wind up shortly, what I like is when science proves what the heart already knew. I love that. I love it when they come along and they say, well, we can actually show scientifically that energy radiates out from the heart, 10 to 12 feet and things like this, and you go, congratulations, you're catching up with what has been taught in a spiritual level since forever. So I do like it when we see the limitations of science, but we see that it is expanding, and it's like in grade 1 and it's now moved up to grade 2. So, science and spirituality can coexist, and there's some very well-known people that actually are worth following along these lines. But when we limit ourselves to just only accepting scientific reasoning for the way things occur, for our understanding of the world, then we've basically cut off about 80, 90% of our wisdom, which is really quite limiting. And it's disappointing that people end up living that way. So have a look around the world, as I often say with these live streams. Look at the people around you and see the way they think about things, and you will actually see some very clear examples. Daniel, great, love it. Yes, throwing out red herrings at a wrapped patter and attacking a straw man argument does not make the Buddha. That's true. Beautiful. Find the Buddha within, Daniel. Well said. So thank you. Live vegan and save lives, and I'll speak to you soon. Ahimsa.